Well, alrighty then. Hey, welcome, friends and family. Hey, it's your friendly neighborhood bald guy, the Great Baldini. And I've missed you too. I'm glad you're here. Just a few things tonight. It's going to be probably a little bit different than the usual one. And I hope that's a good thing, right? We'll hope that's good. We've kind of gone back and forth. If you've been with me for a while, and I'm assuming if you're here that you have, because nobody else is coming, which is, okay. And it's good because, we began together, like looking at the nature of the universe, right? And trying to figure out where we're at and what that means. And then, much to my dissatisfaction, unfortunate but unforeseen, a bunch of health issues that predicated a whole bunch of other things. Without health, we're not work, and so that creates financial, issues, and just, again, not complaining. Just it's been a lot of distractions, and in the middle of it, right, we have all the stuff going on around us in the world, and I don't have to explain to you kind of what that is. We spent a little time on it last week, just kind of looking at what's around us generally. And it seems nuts, but it also does seem that it is, at the same time, not a surprise, right? While it's certainly shocking, it appears not to come as a surprise, in that we have been warned that things would be like this. And throughout this period of time, one thing that I have been most grateful for, again, is you. And I would say the listener, but it's gone beyond that. Like most of you who are here are now not even just friends, but family. So we've kind of walked this journey together. And one of the things that I notice, I don't know, as a result of that, or just because it's become more apparent, is that the struggles that we face are certainly not dissimilar. While it might not be identical, to my journey, as I talk to people and we, pray for one another and talk about what's going on in our lives and going on around us, it seems as if many of us are going through some very, if not identical, very similar circumstances, or at least going through a similar, field, places in the journey that require at least similar skills, right, to get through. And much of that, I think, is in terms of the skill of the journey, really belongs into bringing yourself and your will under submission, so that you can present that to the Creator. That when we try to serve ourselves and in our own strength and with our own ego and through our own power, we can, some of us, get pretty impressive results. Some less so. But even if you get pretty impressive results, then obviously there's the pressure to continue to get those results. And then over time, none of us are perfect. Well, there was that one guy, but we killed him. So, you realize, I think, if you're honest and introspective, right, you realize that you could use some improvement, right? And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, I think, in terms of if you're going to try to follow the way as prescribed by J-Bro or not, right, is I see so many people struggling with the idea that you have to give up yourself entirely. It's not it's not an app that you run. It's like an entire operating system. It's not like a helpful thing, like some kind of self-help mantra to help get you through something. It is all or nothing, right? It requires that complete commitment. And that requires that you admit that you're incapable of doing it. And so many people I hear, I see people, oh, that sounds like oppression. And, oh, you got to admit that you suck. And it's like, well, it's honest though. It's not in any way oppression. It simply is the truth that we are imperfect and we're broken, and that our hearts are, in many ways, rebellious and bent away from the Creator, especially when it comes to discipline and to do the hard things and the things that we know are right. It's easier not to, and so we follow that path, right? And then we become, proud of our, proud of our accomplishments, and then we don't want to let those go. And that becomes the most difficult part, I think, in a relationship with your Creator, is not wanting to let go of, the things that you have created, who you are, the things that you think are valuable. And it becomes a real struggle of ego to let go. But once you kind of, make it through, I think the initial parts of sort of understanding what that looks like. And when you come to a place of realizing that the Creator is good and can be trusted, even when you don't know what is going on, that it's okay if you don't know, because He's trustworthy, that they are trustworthy and they're good. And their plans for you are to prosper you and not to harm you, even though in the moment it is very apparent that many of your struggles and challenges are the direct result of choosing the way. Because if you follow the way, the world is bent against it. And if you are friends with the Creator, well, then you then become instantly an enemy of the world, who then wants to, try to draw you back in. So the bucket of crabs, if you try to crawl out, they're going to pull you back in. They don't want you to escape. And it's not even they, it is who they follow and the nature of this whole thing, right? There is an enemy who wants you, just cares less about you, just sort of is disgusted with you. Really, though, is butthurt by the Creator and the fact that He is going to end when the world ends. And so the only thing that He can do to get back at God, the only way to hurt Him is to hurt what He loves. And so He's sworn to take as many as He can of Dad's children who He loves. And that's the game. It's a numbers game to Him. And Dad seems okay with saying, all right, you do that, but I'll get the good ones, right? Those who will seek Me and follow Me with all their heart and all their strength and all their mind. And those who are worth having will be worthy. And I see it, right? I see it better. But one of the things that has certainly, again, I think, again, if you're here this long, have made it this far, then you are nodding, saying yes. So you're aware that the road we travel is fraught with all kinds of challenges and challenges and difficulties that are often given to us specifically because we follow this path, and it's trying to discourage us and to make us quit and give up. And very often, the tool and the method that is used to do that is to bring those who are closest to us to bear against us, and to bring our most intimate loved ones and influence them to influence us, right? To make it more difficult for us, right? That, and even sometimes people are offered ultimatums, right? You choose me or your silly, religion or whatever, because they don't see it that way. They can't see it because the wisdom of God is foolishness to the world, and so there is no way they can see it. And it's at this point, I think, that I want to share these ideas, right? That in the Gospel of John, chapter 14 and 15, is the Last Supper, what we call the Last Supper. And that is where Jesus spends Passover with His disciples. And it's at that moment that Judas Iscariot goes out to instantiate and to foment the betrayal. And one thing to be aware of, I think, is that betrayal can only come from someone you love. If it's anybody else, it's just an enemy, right? Betrayal can only come in the form of a turncoat, someone that you love, someone that is intimate in your circle and betrays you, and that's why it hurts the most. And that's, again, the very nature of the Judas kiss, that Judas, you betrayed me with a kiss. But in chapter 14 and 15 of the book of John, Jesus says that, up till now you've been my servants, but now no longer are you my servants, but you're my friends, right? And he invites them in. Now you're also the sons of God. You become sons, that you are family now. And it's, I think the nature of all relationship, and one thing that I have observed throughout my life is the nature of all relationship is, some mutual interest, right? Some point of commonality. Hopefully that is for everyone, right? The point of commonality that simply we are human and we're all kind of the same. When we begin to dehumanize others and think of them as less than human, that's when big problems begin, right? And that's when you have things like genocide and the problems that are created there whenever you begin to think of them as dogs and vermin and that sort of thing. But ultimately, and this is sort of one aspect or one element that I intended to talk about tonight, I thought I'd just skip over because I didn't want to get sidetracked with it, but we'll come back to it. And it's actually a central theme in what I think I want to do next. I think, and this is something I want to ask you guys to pray for about me, is this sort of this busking tour, right? The idea of going around doing the noodling around, right, with a like RV or whatever, and just drive around and meet people and get them out and to shake hands, right, with one another, and to meet people in a non-confrontational, non-adversarial way, and really just find out, who they are. And I think at the basics, what we find out that the other guy is just like us, whether their ideology is dissimilar, diametrically opposed to ours. At the end of the day, I think what you'll find is that we're not so dissimilar. We want our families to be healthy and happy and safe and secure. And what we differ on generally is we disagree on how to get there and what, even sometimes the nature of the problem. But ultimately, I think we want the same things. And when you realize that they're not your enemies, see, that's where, again, we say the they, the powers that ought not be, or the PIC, the people in charge, or however you want to put it, right? That their job always is divide and conquer, and that they are going to rip us apart and set us against one another, right? And it is that we have to be most on guard against, which is not just trying to fight off some unnamed enemy, right? Well, like, sure, the banksters and, sure, the people that sit on the Council of 13 and sure, the Council of Foreign Relations and sure, the World Economic Forum, but they're all puppets, right? Well, you know this. If you back up and look at it from high enough perspective, you realize that, the pyramid has a separation. The eye is not connected. And so even the people that are here are, and have sworn themselves as enemy of mankind, they take their orders from someone else, and they themselves are deceived in their puppets, right? Just useful idiots. And they probably are, again, from what I can see, they seem greatly deceived in what they think is going to occur versus what is much more likely to occur. And we're beginning to see that more and more. But as we navigate life, right, we tend to congregate with people like ourselves. And that's one of the points of, I think, the idea of, houses of worship, at least, churches, if you want to say that. But of course, everything has been co-opted. Everything that's good in this world has been co-opted by the enemy, who wants to distract us and keep us away from becoming close to the Creator. That's his whole point, right, is to keep us from becoming close to and in love with the Creator. But in that sense, right, we have the family that's been given to us by nature of birth, right, and our genetics. And, we had come up with all the phrases that blood is thicker than water, and that, always family and stuff like that. And I bought into that, right, until, as it turns out, I met somebody, well, my bride, right, who had, unthinkably to me, at one point earlier in her life, had disconnected and cut off all relationship with her family of origin, changing her name, city, location. Psh, that was it, done. And I just couldn't imagine it. I thought, wow, that seems like an awfully radical, right, response. And then, over time, I realized for her that was that was the right move. And she had tried numerous times, right? It was just a situation that could not be resolved without, they're going to be heartbreak no matter how you look at it. And she chose her form of heartbreak, and I think it was probably, I can't judge it, but for me, I think it was for the best. But I grew up with that sense of, that family is family no matter what. And having lost most of my family recently, you certainly look back on and reconsider the nature of your relationship and what that looked like. And certainly it looks different on this side than it did then. I have a clearer view, but less antagonistic, I guess, even though I better understand what happened. Anyway, what I want to get to, right, is that we have these people in our lives that some, are given to us by family, and then some we have, coworkers, and then some that are our friends, and there are some that become our chosen family, who we choose, like-minded individuals, we meet in the workplace or, social centers or recreational leagues, bowling or whatever, if it's church or, your recreational activities, if you're, musician or whatever it is, whatever that touchstone that brings us together, those bonds that are created and made there and over time can create these, lifetime unbreakable bonds, especially, those who feel like they serve a purpose together and something greater than themselves. And that, again, can be whether they served in battle together, although often they find afterwards, right, that the cause that they thought they were serving wasn't it. They felt lied to. That's a frequent happening. But especially, trauma bonding, that sort of stuff. But even without it, right, my friend Jim, who I've talked about before, lost him many years ago now, but we were closer than brothers, and we had not only the music right, but our great love for the Creator, and we saw some things in certain ways that made us, I guess, outcasts to those around us, but created us between us a bond, right? And when I began here in this community, I guess, a few years back to share at the time what I'd hoped would be like some helpful perspectives, right? In a community of what I had considered, gifted, free-thinking, intellectual individualists, I guess, right? Especially those who were willing to ask the serious questions, right? And ask the big questions. And have the humility to say, yes, I have been lied to, and that the world is not the way I thought it was, right? Anyway, I had hoped at the time just to bring some, added information and observation and perspective, maybe to some specific areas of research, within this generally accepted worldview, that the prevailing historical narrative is not simply flawed, but entirely manufactured, and therefore, untenable, really. So that in and of itself opens up the entire, world to new and novel interpretations, right? Natural law, foundational truths, right? And the people that make it through that usually are the kind of ilk that I find, fascinating and irresistibly drawn to, right? I have a great affinity for people who can see beyond the programming. And so, this is, you can develop these creation of these long, tribal type associations and familial bonds, and arguably in some cases stronger, right, than those afforded by just the singular virtue of like genetic happenstance. But again, as you know, if you're here, at this point still, then that some of those bonds were broken. And it's heartbreaking to me, and right in the middle of being sick, and I step away for time. But what remains, right, now is a family, like this tight little family that I have come to love deeply. And I learn, I rejoice with your successes and celebrate your victories and grieve your losses. And we all kind of hunker down together during the difficult times, like now, and like the last 2 years. And then, we kind of sit together in this awful silence of bereavement and separation where words often fail to convey anything other than just disconsolate, intractable suffering, right? When the floor falls out from beneath you, whether that is, everything that you thought was, or whether that is loss. We care for and care about, and we love one another, right? And it's the same sort of thing, like, when you suddenly think about somebody you hadn't for a while and then they call, right? Or that sort of thing. I often come to know when somebody is having a struggle, right? Whether because I'm going through something similar, and I go, hey, you know what? I bet they're having a similar thing, or I just get a nudge in a particular way to pray for people, and I have a pretty long list now of people to pray for and with, and again, Gospel of John, just that whole 13 through 15 is just amazing there. But again, he says, this is how they'll know that you're my disciples, right? That by your love for one another, right? And so this connection, I guess sort of works both ways. I know from the messages that you send, right, that you suffer when I do, and I do when you are. Right? I know when there's trouble and the spidey senses tinkle, right? And you reach out to me when it's necessary, and I reach out to you, and I try to be faithful to that, even in the midst of, what I'm going through. Because I think, again, we are all to carry one another's burdens. And so while, I continue to go through this barrage of seemingly never-ending and relentless challenges, I do not try to focus on that at all, because I understand that I'm not alone in that. Both that you're with me and pulling for me, but I'm with you and pulling for you, and there are all these other situations out there that are so many of them much greater import, right? And whether I can handle knives or remember stuff, right? It's bigger stuff. So because we should be reminded, right, that these battles are not of flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, spiritual wickedness in high places. And so the weapons of our warfare of necessity must be likewise spiritual, right? So together and united, right, we put on the whole armor. And so I wanted to do a couple of things. I often read Matthew 24, right? And as Jesus is talking about, he's asked what's going to happen when these things will they occur. But I think I'm going to here with this. I was just kind of considering it. I got pretty quickly to Luke chapter 12 and kind of far on down 53, right, where it talks about the father divided against the son and the son against the father, mother against daughter and daughter against the mother. It's going to break families apart, right? That there will be betrayals. And I went back to the start, and I thought, wow, this is certainly apropos for the time. So if you'll allow me, even with my great difficulties and talking and all that sort of stuff, if you're just gonna bear with me, I'll read from this is the Dewey Reams Gospel of Luke, chapter 12. I'll just kind of go through the whole thing, but I thought it apropos again for the moment, and I hope that You receive it in the spirit in which it's intended. And when the great multitude stood about him, so that they trod upon one another, he began to say to his disciples, "Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. For there's nothing covered that shall not be revealed, nor hidden that shall not be known. For whatsoever things you've spoken in darkness shall be published in the light, and that which you've spoken in the ear, in the inner chambers, shall be preached on the housetops. And I say to you, my friends, be not afraid of them who can kill the body, and after that they have no more that they can do. But I'll show you who you should fear. Fear him who, after he is killed, has the power to cast into hell." Yeah, that's the one I say to fear. "Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings, and not one of them is forgotten before God? Yeah, the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So fear not, you are of more value than many sparrows. And I say to you, whoever shall confess me before men, him shall the Son of Man also confess before the angels of God. But he that shall deny me before men shall also be likewise denied before the angels of God. And whosoever speaks a word against the Son of Man, it will be forgiven him. But to him that shall blaspheme against the Holy Ghost, it shall not be forgiven." Yeah, don't talk about my mama, right? "And when they shall bring you into the synagogues and to magistrates and powers, be not solicitous, or don't fear how you should answer or what you should say. For the Holy Ghost will teach you in that very moment, in that same hour, what you should say. And one of the multitude said to him, Master, speak to my brother, that he divide the inheritance with me. And he said, Man, who appointed me your judge or divider over you? And then he said to him, Take heed and beware of all covetousness, right, and all jealousy. For a man's life does not consist in the abundance of things that he possesses. And he spoke this to him. He said, The land of a certain rich man brought forth plenty of fruit. And he thought within himself, Hey, what will I do? I have no room. What do I do with all my fruit? I got so much stuff. And then he said, Hey, this is what I'll do. I'll pull down the barns and I'll build bigger ones. And then I'll put my stuff in them, and then all this stuff and all my goods. And I will say to myself, soul, you have goods laid up for many years. Now take rest and eat and drink and make good cheer. But God said to him, Thou fool, this night do they require thy soul of thee? And whose shall those things be which thou hast provided? Tonight you die, and now who will own those things? So is he that lays up a treasure for himself and is not rich toward God. And I'll pause here to say that, this is, I think it's clear at this point that this is what largely got me, kicked out of this air quote community, right? Is by saying what good, right? How does it help us to know the nature of the place that we live in, if having come to the conclusion that there is a creator, that we not determine that the creator is good and we should follow him and do all that we can to do that? How is any of the other helpful if it all leads to the same place? Therefore, he said to his disciples, Therefore I say to you, be not solicitous for your life. Do not fear for your life, what you should eat, nor for your body, what you should put on. Right? Don't have concerns about your needs. The life is more than meat, and the body more than raiment. Life is more than the food you eat, and the body more than the clothes you put on it. Consider the ravens. They don't sow, neither do they reap, neither have they a storehouse nor a barn, but God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than they are? And which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 inch to his height? If you're not able to do something this small, why are you worried about the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They don't labor, they don't worry, they don't spin. But I tell you, not even Solomon in all his glory was clothed like one of these. Now, if God clothes it in this manner, the grass that's today in the field and tomorrow cast into the oven, how much more you, you of little faith? And seek not what you should eat or what you should drink. And don't be lifted up on high. Don't worry All those things everyone worries about, right? But your Father knows that you have need of these things. He will never let you down. He's never let me down, right? Never once. And all the time I've followed him, he's never once let me down. Never too much, never too soon, right? But always. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his justice and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. Go there first, right? Seek the creator of wisdom before you look for the wisdom. He'll help you find it, right? And then you know you're doing the right thing. Fear not, little flock, for it pleases your Father to give you a kingdom. So sell what you possess. Give alms. Make yourselves bags which don't grow old, a treasure in heaven which doesn't fail, where no thief approaches or moth corrupts. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. If what is important to you is being known as the flat earth guy, then you don't want to talk about anything else, and you're going to get mad if people look elsewhere. If you're the Mandela effect guy, you don't want to talk about anything else because that's what you have to hang on to. I'm not poking at anybody in particular, but I'm saying it's just like the higher the education, the deeper the indoctrination. Whatever it is you put your value in, right, wherever you find your value, that's what you need, right? And my value is only how I can serve Dad. And I hope that, right, I just want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. And I'm, terrified that I'm not doing enough, right, because of the stuff. And I know he understands. I know there's grace, but I know my shortcomings. I know my failures, right? I know what it looks like. So I know that I need, repentance and forgiveness for that. So where your treasure is, there your heart's going to be also. Like, gird up your loins, right? Sack up, basically. And lamps burning in your hands, right? Set yourself on fire. And you yourselves, like the men who wait for their Lord, who shall return from the wedding. And when he comes and knocks, they open up to him immediately, right? So be ready. Blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when he comes, find watching. Amen. I say to you that he will gird himself and make them sit down to eat, and passing will minister to them. And if he should come in the second watch or come in the third watch and find them so much more blessed are those servants. But know ye this, the householder didn't know, if he didn't know what the hour, if he knew what hour the thief would come, right, he would have watched and wouldn't suffer his house to be broken into. But you then be at the ready. For what hour do you think, what hour you think not, then the Son of Man will come, right? How many people do you hear right now saying, as it was in the days of the fathers, so shall it always be? You're nuts. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to help you. And in a way, no one's coming to save you in that sense, right? But there is a hope, right? I posted this last week that, probably the ultimate black pill, that it occurred to me that one of the most cynical things that we can give to our children is hope. But I mean hope in this world, right? Hope that there will be reconciliation, that there will be comeuppance, that there will be justice in this world, because it's not going to happen, and it is a false hope. I can't say for sure when, but it looks like soon before this happens. But if people say, oh, it's already done, right? Or it's over. Or you won't have to face this because you're going to get raptured. Look again, right? Read for yourself. Be clear-minded. First thing Jesus said, take care that no one deceives you. Be ready. For what hour you think not, the Son of Man will come. Peter said to him, Lord, do you speak this parable to us or to everyone? And he said, whoever thinks himself a faithful and wise servant, whom the Lord setteth over his family, if you think you got something to give, right, to give them the measure of wheat in due season, well, blessed is that servant when the Lord shall come, you find him so doing, right? If you think you're doing something, if you think you're supposed to be doing something, you better be doing it, because you don't know, right, when he's coming. So hopefully he'll find you doing that. Verily I say unto you, he will set him over all that he possesses. But if the servant says in his heart, my Lord is delayed, long a coming, and shall begin to strike the men servants and maid servants, and to lord over them, and to eat and drink and be drunk, the Lord of that servant will come in the day that he hopes not, and at the hour that he knoweth not, and shall separate him, and shall appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. Right? That sounds bad. And that servant who knew the will of his Lord and prepared not himself and did not according to his will shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not, right, and did things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. Right? Do you get the comparison there? If you know, you're responsible for what you know. And to whom much is given, of him much shall be required. And to whom they have committed much, of them they will demand the more. And here's what I wanted to get to right now. Here's the real part. I am come to cast fire on the earth. And what will I but that it be kindled? And I have a baptism wherewith I am to be baptized. And how will I be straightened until it be accomplished? In other words, what will I do until it's done? I have a thing to do, right? Which is to be martyred. And you think that I've come to give peace to the earth? No, but separation. And here's where we get to now. Separation. For there will be henceforth 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. And the father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, and the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother. Yep, and the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law. And he said also to the multitudes, when you see a cloud rising from the west, presently you say, a storm is coming. And so it happens, right? So then you see the south wind blow, and you say, there's heat, and it comes to pass. You hypocrites, you know how to discern the face of the heaven and the earth, but how is it you do not discern the time? Well, see, everyone will say, of that hour, right? We know not the day or hour, Jesus said, right? Only the Father knows, and that's true. But he didn't say that you couldn't know what to search for, right? What to look for and what to be ready for. And that's why we're going to continue in Revelation. But I had to get here first because it's so timely, I think, right now. Right? And why even of yourselves do you not judge that which is just? And when you go with the adversary to the prince, right, while you're on the way, endeavor to be delivered from him, unless perhaps he draw thee to the judge, and the judge deliver you to the exactor, and the exactor cast into prison. In other words, if you're being taken to court, right, settle, right, get on to bigger things. If you fight to make your treasure pile here bigger, right, you're fighting to stay here, you see that. That's where the trouble is. I say to you that you won't go out thence until you pay the last mite. Right? But here, this is where 51, right, through 54, no peace on earth, but separation, dividing family against family, right, one against the other. Okay, I'm going to share this one more bit with you, and then we'll wrap it up here with one, I guess, final bit. This is, again, chapter 14 from John. The words of Jesus, right? Just be encouraged. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house there are many mansions, and if not, I would have told you, because I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare that place for you, I will come again, and I'll take you with myself, that where I am, you may also be. And where I go, you know, and the way you know. And Thomas said, Lord, we don't know where you go, and how can we know the way? And Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And no one comes to the Father but by me. Not by Nicholas Flamel. And not by, Trismegistus, right? But by me. If you had known me, you would without doubt have known my Father also. And from henceforth you will know him, and you've seen him. And Philip said, show us the Father, and it's enough. Jesus said, how have I been with you for so long, Philip, that you haven't known me? Philip, if you see me, you see the Father. So how are you saying, show us the Father? Don't you believe that I'm in the Father and the Father's in me? The words that I speak to you, I don't speak from myself. The Father who abides in me, who lives in me, he's the one that does this. He's the one that does these works. Don't you believe that I am in the Father and the Father is in me? Otherwise, just believe for the very work's sake. I say to you, if you believe in me, the works I do, you also will do. And greater than these can you do, because I go to the Father. And whatever you ask the Father in my name, that will I do, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything in my name, that I will do. Hang on to that. Bookmark that for a moment. If you love me, keep my commandments. And I will ask the Father, and he will give you another paraclete, comforter, advocate, basically, that he may abide with you forever. The Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it doesn't see him or know him, right? They're on the wrong vibration. They're tuned to the wrong signal. And they get the spirit, right, of the spirit of lawlessness. But you receive the Spirit of truth, right? The world doesn't know him, but you know him, because he will abide with you and will be in you. I will not leave you orphans. I will come to you. In a little while, the world will see me no more, but you will see me, because I live, and you will live. And in that day, you'll know that I'm in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. And he that hath my commandments and keeps them, he's the one that loved me. And he that loves me shall be loved of my Father, and I will love him, and will manifest it myself to him. And Judas, not the Iscariot, said, Lord, how is it that you will manifest yourself to us and not the world? And Jesus said, if you love me, you will keep my commandments. If you love me, you'll keep my word. And my Father will love you and will come to you, and we will make our abode with you. We will live to you. He that loves me not will not keep my words. Can't do it, right? Because they don't know love. You have to experience the love of the Father. You have to experience the Father through Jesus. I am the way, the source, and the light, right? He that loves me not keeps not my words, and the words that you've heard me is not mine, but the Father's who sent me. And these things I've spoken to you, abiding with you. But the Paraclete, the Comforter, the Advocate, the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things, and bring all things to your mind, whatever I've said to you. Now peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, nor let it be afraid. You've heard it said that I said to you, I will go away and I'll come to you. But if you love me, you would be glad, because I go to the Father, and the Father is greater than I am. And now I've told you before it comes to pass, so that when it does, you can believe. Anything you ask in my name, anything you ask in my name, I will do it. So, with that, I have a list that, I usually don't have to look at the list, because it's just kind of a daily, but it gets a lot of use. And so I just want to spend a little time tonight and just specifically pray for each one of these folks, and thank you for being a friend and being my family. So, Ronald, thank you so much for your love and affection, and your many kind words. Dad, be with Ronald this very night. Shore up her heart and fill her loneliness. Cover the gaps and give her clear direction. Give her certainty. David, my brother in the UK, I love you so much. I'm so glad we're brothers. I know your heart, and I know the struggles and the burdens that you bear. And I just ask you to lift him up in the way that only you can, and give him the courage and the strength, and this will sound funny, but the vision, right? The sight to see what he needs to see, and the way that he should go. That even when we cannot see with our eyes, he will guide us by holding our hands. David and Jen Rife and little Lola, be with them, protect them, guard them, keep them safe and secure. Andrew and Andrea, just ask for your protection around them, and I just thank you so much for their faithfulness, and they're just so awesome. and so open and just raw to you, Dad, and come around them, protect them from those who would seek to harm them. Jeremy, I miss you, brother. I pray for you, and I haven't heard from you for a minute. I don't need anything from you other than just to hear that you're okay. I know that we're in a tough patch right now, all of us, right? And I just want to encourage you. And if you need help, reach out. If you need something specific, I'm happy to go to bat there for you. Heather, thank you so much for your friendship and your kindness, and being able to meet up with you in person has been terrific after all these many years. And I'm so proud of who you've become, and you've always been good people. But I'm proud of you, and I continue to ask that Dad just help you continue to grow and mature. Right, Dawn, I know your heart hurts, and I can't fix it, and I wish I could. But know that you are so loved. Daddy, I just ask that you just send your spirit to her tonight, and just touch her. Fill her up with your love and compassion. Joe, my brother, man, we've been friends for a long time, and I sense that you're hurting and uncomfortable in those shoes. It's okay, brother. Just spend time with Dad, and hang out with J Bro. He will cover all those needs, every one, not just the financial needs, but the holes in our heart. Jane, thank you so much for the kind words always, and I know you're having a tough go right now, but it's okay when, I say, fear and faith can't coexist, but it's okay when things are scary, because some things are scary. But Dad will never let you down. Just hang on tight, right? Hold on tight. And he will never leave you nor forsake you. Don Ray, hey brother, man, you dude, you're so awesome. I another longtime friend, and you've been, it's been terrific to catch up with you and to see what you've done with what you were given. Amazing. And Lynn and the amazing curly-haired wonder, and Dad bless this child, and continue to fill her with your spirit, and to continue to bless this family. Laura, thank you for your friendship and kind words, and the beautiful encouragement that you give to others. And Dad, just bless her. Debbie, thank you for your candor and your honesty. And you didn't owe me any of that. And yet our conversations were and have been very healing and helpful for me to see things from that different perspective. And again, I'm so impressed to see what Dad has done with those who trust him. Karina, hey, you're awesome. Since from the minute we met, I knew that you were amazing, and you have proved that to be true every time that we encounter one another. We've gone, at a distance, gone through each other's hurts, and we've rejoiced with successes. And I know that right now things are trying, but Dad has always got you. So, Dad, I just, again, thank you for the wonderful family that you put in my life. No matter what the circumstances or how it began, um, thank you. And thank you for your love. And for love, Daryl, thank you, man. Thank you for your love and for your companionship. And Dad, I just ask you to just bless him and everything he puts his hand to, and that he continues to be faithful and to help those around him who need it. Thank you, and just bless his socks off. Lydia, you're awesome. Again, another long time person that I'm so glad that Dad put you in my life. Little did we know, right, how this would all turn out. But hang on, be strong, be of good courage. You are very loved, and there is a plan, so just hang on. Joette and Dirk, hey, hang on, guys. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you again. You're right there in the city of sin, so you're going through it, and I see daily the struggle that you face, and I continue to hold you up in my prayers. Giorgio, say, little brother, you're doing great, right? Hang on, and I know it's a heck of a list there, huh? Hang on, right, and go forward with confidence and bravery and courage, right? Go forward in His name. Be confident, and it will work out. And hey, I love you, man. Thanks for another, again, longtime friend forever and ever. Thank you for your compassion and your kind words, and you've always been there when I needed a friend, and I thank you for that. And Dad, just reward him at this point in his life when everything is so meaningful and so unclear. Give him clear direction. Kevin, hang on, man. Love you, buddy. Thank you again for your candor and honesty, and that has been really impressive to me to watch you grow in that regard. And I continue to lift you up in your journey. And again, reach out anytime. Jeffrey, man, thanks for. Honesty is just the word that keeps coming up, and just helping point me back and realize the things that are of value in the moments when I can't see it. Donna Ann, hey, listen, girl, my heart just goes out for you, and I wish I had the right words, but I know that I have the right friend to hold your hand. We cannot, as you know, make the decisions for the ones that we love. But Dad knows our hearts, and he will not let your prayers go in vain. Hey, buddy. Can't talk right now, but I pray for you. I know it hurts. Jim, man, you've been super great. Again, another very long time friend, someone who's helped me so many times. And I just want to say thank you. And I continue to lift you up in your church family. And hopefully here in the not too distant future, we'll get together and I'll be able to assist them as I would like. But I just want to speak that in. And then, again, Rocky, my brother, my actual brother, I continue to pray. And I'm so thankful that Dad put you in my life as my brother. And I'm so grateful that you've been there for Mom and Dad through everything when I couldn't be there. Thank you. And I pray for you daily. Wes, man, you're a good brother. I like to see your growth, and you and your dad taught me a lot. I'm grateful for that. And I continue to pray for you and your family and your growth. James, same, man. I miss you, brother. It's been a minute. Hang on and hold out. He that endures to the end will be saved. Keith and Tommy, man, my heart just grieves with you for your loss. And I'm so glad I'm so, well, we'll talk, but Dad, be with these two. Um, I know that you have something special for Tommy, and um, I thank you for that. And I know that you will hold up Keith. And, not long, brother, not long. Allison, hey, you've been a good friend, and I know that the days are long and the nights are longer sometimes. Just reach out to Jesus. Just call his name. He'll be there with you. Kim and your family, thank you so much again for your kindness and your words of encouragement and support. Olga, again, another longtime friend. You're in my prayers always. I know that things have been chaotic, but he's always there, right? He's never left you. Tim, same. Things are nutty, but Dad's there. Jody and Steve, I love you. Thanks again for inviting me into your lives, and I won't forget your kindness. Sonny and Steve and your families, again, longtime friends, I pray for you daily as I watch you grow and continue to bless those around you. And finally, enemies, haters, but yeah, those who wish me harm, I continue to pray for you. And I hope that Dad is able to touch your heart and open your eyes and fill you with love. And for you, my friends, again, if this is boring because you don't know any of these people, I'm really sorry. But I just wanted to pray now for each of you and let you know what my prayer list looks like. And what I often ask for, and many times it's very specific to the person. I spend a very long time on the one things. But we are and have been given to one another as family. We are the family of God, and we are family in him. And so I continue to hold you up in prayer and ask that you would do the same for me. And I will have to also apologize. Just I was supposed to call this week. Issue, like, long story. It was probably a bad move. I got a check in my spirit about it, and here's what happened. Just like 6 weeks last year before I lost my job, we had needed to get my wife a new phone. We did, and then I upgraded mine at the same time. I probably shouldn't have, but I did, and I was going to trade in my other one. When we went to trade them in, we traded hers, and mine disappeared, couldn't find it. I was like, oh no. And so that's just about exactly how far we were behind between now and then. On our phone bill was $300. I was supposed to get us a trade-in for the thing, and it just appeared, and so now I got to beg them and plead with them to let me turn it in because we're very behind. Well, we're exactly that far, and they can't use the phone until I get it taken care of. So hopefully that'll get worked out tomorrow because it just appeared, and we go, okay, please. Anyway. But I can still contact people through Messenger and that sort of stuff. So anyway, that's good. But I just want to encourage each of you, basically. I just want to say, hey, this ain't over yet, right? Let's pray for one another and consider one another and lift each other up in prayer. We don't always know the outcome, but we do know that if we trust Dad, he is good, right? And even when we don't understand the answers, we know that he is trustworthy and he knows the answers, and his plans for us are for good and not for evil, right? And so no matter what, he's trustworthy. Again, I can't convince you that. I can only remind you of that. In any case, I think we're going to wrap it here. I don't want to belabor the point, but I do want to say I love you, and I thank you for being a friend, being my family, and I hope to see you soon. If you want to, again, pray for us. Certainly, we, always there's the health stuff. Right now, we do have the, awkward kind of interim financial weirdnesses. We're trying to get everything figured out and sold off, and I would do faster at that if I didn't have the physical issues, right? So it's kind of a catch-22, but we're trying to work our way through it. Anyways, but yeah, and for clarity and wisdom on this, I feel I want to do this busking thing, but I want to make sure, again, it's what Dad wants and not to go chasing my tail and spending a bunch of energy on something that's going to be a, distraction or a miserable failure. I don't feel like it would be, but again, I just want to make sure it's not just something that like I want to do, right? So anyway, it's important to me in that regard. So if you would pray for clarity and wisdom on that, that would be super great. In the interim, pray for one another and continue to hold one another up. That's what we're instructed to do. Thanks so much for being here, and I'm so glad that you're my friends and my family. And I'll see you again next week, if not sooner.
I can't believe the questions you ask. Are you still my friend? You should know after all that has passed, I am here to the end. And yes, it makes me feel like a fool, knowing I haven't come through for you. And no, it's not the same when you call out my name. I can't believe the things that you ask. Don't you know what it means to speak the words that you've given me, to tell of my dreams? And yes, I think that I'll be okay once I let go and you have your way. And no, I'm not afraid, I just don't know